Blake O'Grady put 5 for 3.16 kilos. It adds to his 3.251. 10 fish for 6.411 kilos. Second place, Blake O'Grady. Well done, Blake. Which leaves our champion for the Queensland Open, Rhys Harris from down in Victoria. Well done, mate. 5,000 big ones, mate. I know you're good at spending that, so you'll have fun with that. And you get to take Geoff home for a year, and you're going to have to come back next year then to defend it.
Yeah.
G'day, Steve Morgan here, Australian Bass Tournaments. We have concluded the 2022 iteration of the Samaki Queensland BREAM Open. I'll tell you what it's all about. It's a boater-only tournament run on the ABT Tournament Series app, which has live scoreboards, and depending on the weather, it could be one day on Moreton Bay or one day on the Gold Coast, or like this weekend, strong wind warnings meant both weekends were on the Gold Coast. It means the angler that wins has to be versatile enough to deal with whatever arena and whatever weather faces them. And Rhys Harris, the only Victorian to come up, how many times have you fished the Gold Coast before? Because you won this thing.
This is my first time fishing the Gold Coast. I got out a little bit late on the pre-fish day and just had a look. I poked my head down the Nerang a bit because I launched at Bud's Beach, and then I sort of come up, seen the trawlers, and
yeah, I know that spot.
Yeah, and thought, yep, cool. Well, that'll be me at least for day one, because I don't think I'll be travelling too far with the wind warning that we had. So, yeah, just did that.
What sort of research do you do? I know it was sort of a last minute decision to come up, but do you just like, oh, I've read about this a few places, I'll give it a go, or do you do a fair bit of research? Because you knocked off a lot of good locals in this joint.
Well, Charlie actually made me feel pretty stupid, because when we were sitting around talking on Thursday night when I got in, he's like, oh, so what research have you done? I'm like, nothing.
Nothing.
I just said I was going to go fishing, and I ended up watching some of the previous ABT interviews with Jamie McEwen and Blake O'Grady and yourself, obviously, and yeah, just sort of thought, yeah, look, I'll take a bit of that and take a bit of what I know and mix them together and see what happens.
Well, tell us how the tournament rolled out. You were leading the event after day one. Where did all the fish come from that day?
So day one, I started down at the Nerang Bridge.
Which one? The main one, the Sundale Bridge, or the next little one up?
The next little one up. Started down there, and I was fishing a 1/6 TT on a Gulp Watermelon Pearl minnow. And basically, the reason I was doing that was on my Lowrance active target, I seen the bait schools tied up under the bridge. So I was just chucking the Gulp up parallel to the pylons and dead sticking it back. And that accounted for the 35 fork, and then I think it was a 28. And then I just poked my head around a corner from Bud's Beach, went under a little bridge and skip cast to a bream that I actually seen on a pontoon with an unweighted watermelon pearl minnow, and that accounted for the 35.5. And then I just went out to the trawlers yesterday, and again the Gulp watermelon pearl on 1/16 and then a 1/20 hidden weight, just skipping it up tight to the trawlers and letting it waft down, and that sort of filled the bag up yesterday, and I was done by about 11:30, 12.
Well, it was a good bag for the Gold Coast, over 3.5 kilos, but the whole field seemed to be catching good fish. That 3 kilo mark was what you needed to nearly sort of be in the top 10 nearly. So it was, so it fished pretty well. Was your plan today to replicate day one, or did you know that some of the spots might dry up a little?
No, it was pretty much to replicate day one, and I went up to that bridge again and spent 2.5 hours there, and I caught 3, but they were, I mean, in hindsight, they were probably 23, 24 fork, but I just hoiked them straight back because I'm like, oh yeah, but the water clarity was different, and there was no bait on the sounders. Like even on my Humminbird 360, couldn't see bait off the pylons or anything. So I made a move to the trawlers, and Blake was there, and I ended up catching a limit there in front of Blake, and Blake, like, what an amazing guy. Like, he sort of had the most productive 3 trawlers that I found yesterday, and I asked him if I could go in front of him and fish this jetty that I missed a fish on yesterday, and he said that I could, and I ended up pulling a 34 fork there and upgrading a 26, and yeah, and today I was just fishing the cranker crab on this Shimano Poison Adreno and 1000 Stella. So the cranker crab here.
That's the UV colour, is it?
Yeah, the UV. Just casting that tight up to the trawlers because they weren't hitting the plastic for some reason.
They'd seen it the day before, I think.
Yeah, like I caught a couple on it, but I just kept dropping fish. So I thought, yeah, if I go to something like a crab, and yeah, it made all the difference. And then after that, like after the blackout period, I went back up to the bridge.
And what Rhys means is we've turned the scoreboards off at 12 o'clock, so nobody knows what happens, even the competitors on the water. Only Nicole behind this camera knows it. And so you didn't know who was catching fish late because yesterday a lot of big fish came in late.
That's it. And that was sort of something that I had in the back of my head. So I knew that I had to go and do something. And with no experience here, I just thought, look, I haven't crankbaited the bridge, and pulled out your favourite lure.
Old Skill Brown Atomic Crank, yep.
And
that's won a lot of money over the years.
Yeah, and it got me a 29.5, so that was my day.
So in the end, you weighed over 3 kilos, and that's about 6.5 kilos for 2 days on the Gold Coast is a fair effort, considering that last weekend the kayakers would have given all of those areas a real hiding. So what do you got to say to the kayakers that fished that bridge and didn't catch any?
Oh,
should have been here next week.
Yeah, should have. Should buy a boat. Can I say that? I hope he's still sponsor of ABT.
Doesn't matter, mate. You want to say it? You got Geoff, mate, because you can say whatever you like. Look, it happens a lot in ABT. An interstater turns up to a venue, fishes stuff that they commit to stuff that not a lot of locals would commit to, and it ends up taking home the chocolates, mate. Any sponsors that you want to thank?
Yeah, look, I've really got to thank a couple of people that helped me fish this weekend. Biggest goes to Troy at Min Repairs. As I sort of said yesterday, I wouldn't have been able to fish this weekend without him working late into the night on Thursday to get me on the water. Shimano, they've come on board recently and helped me out with some excellent rods and reels packages. Tonic Eyewear, they express posted me up some sunglasses because I was silly enough to leave home without mine. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, I can't wait to get home to my son Graham and show him Geoff. Geoff can be his new toy for the next 12 months.
I reckon it's going to be at least 12 months until he's strong enough to lift that thing. How heavy's Geoff?
Oh, Geoff's pretty heavy. But no, I'm really keen to get back next year and give it a red hot crack again. Like, I should have fished the Oz Open this year. I think this is the kick in the bum that I need to sort of go a little bit harder next year even and do a few more.
Well, tell those Victorians down there, they don't really like travelling that much. Guys like Mario and Jesse like getting in their car and coming, but the rest of you Vics, look what happens if you don't turn up. You miss out on your turn at Geoff. No New South Wales anglers here at the Queensland Open as well. Maybe their fisheries are so good in Sydney they don't want to come to the Gold Coast, but hey, $5,000, Geoff and Rhys say bring it on next year.
And just quickly, no Charlie either. Like, what?
How soft is he?
Charlie is
on 0 to 10 softness. 10 is soft.
100.
There you go, Charlie. You've heard it from the Open winner. We'll see you next year as well.
He's a burger.